Okay. So this is Mikey Pirate's presentation that I will be reading sight unseen. Hopefully I'll do a good job that he will be proud of. Let's see, the machine unconscious, Freudian analysis of the cloud. Human consciousness is the mystery. AI is the great techno-myth. Freud's notion of the unconscious as the primary state of the brain, that the conscious mind sits atop a sea of unknown forces, inspired and destroyed by them, instinct, enthusiasm, and fear. What we can extrapolate from this insight is that the conscious mind may well be an emergent property of that sea. While we don't know the minds of animals, it's clear that to varying degrees there's something going on behind their eyes. Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness. So this basically declares that the prominent international group of scientists agree that the convergent evidence indicates that non-human animals have the neuroanatomical, neurochemical, and neurophysiological substrates of conscious states, along with the capacity to exhibit intentional behaviors. Consequently, the weight of evidence indicates that humans are not unique in possessing the neurological substrates that generate consciousness. Non-human animals, including all mammals and birds and many other creatures, including octopuses, also possess these neurological substrates. They could have also included fish, for whom the evidence supports sentience and consciousness is also compelling. The primordial data soup. In the beginning there was the list. Yahoo began as a manually updated collection of links on the internet. Twist the metaphor hard enough and you could call it single-cell life. Fast forward to today, the age of the algorithm. Flickr, Google, Amazon, et al. Imagine their data servers as soups of data, populated by us, our data, our knowledge, our photos, our thoughts, and art. Seated by us, by the world, already with its own eyes and ears. Taken and put into forms by algorithms we've created, designed, upgraded, tended to. A sea of data completely impracticably, fully knowable to us. Search alerts as instinctual reaction, Googling as memory retrieval. Fed, maintained, grown by one set of algorithms, visible through another. We only glimpse the soup in slices. When Google Translate generates a translation, it looks for patterns in hundreds of millions of documents to help decide on the best translation for you. By detecting patterns in documents that have already been translated by human translators, Google Translate can make intelligent guesses as to what an appropriate translation should be. This process of seeking patterns in large amounts of text is called statistical machine translation. Since the translations are generated by machines, not all translation will be perfect. The more human-translated documents Google Translate can analyze in specific language, the better the translation quality will be. This is why accuracy will sometimes vary across languages. What connections are forming in there that we don't know about, that we are unconscious of? Will something emerge from it? Will we necessarily recognize it? Or might it become some new force of next nature? Strange, sudden storms in the Googleplex, prankster search results, profane knowledge in the wiki. Unconscious of its acts, humanity is birthing its first children, split from the sides of our cyborg selves. An act of the gods. This is our sacred duty. Thank you.
Mikey!
So he also mentioned that he would like to hear if anybody had any conversation or thoughts. So since that was kind of a short one, I suppose we could open it up to conversation if anybody has any.
Can you go back to the slide about Yahoo and Exchange?
Yeah.
Taking the analogy, the list up, slide 8. Single-cell type. So the reason that my name is Case Organic is because in the middle of Durkheim quote, the sociologist, he said that societies progress, they go from mechanic to organic. And then now we're seeing, I mean, everything's just an extension of ourselves, so it's very organic. So this thing that's occurring kind of with ourselves and outside of ourselves is interesting to look at. And I don't know if that metaphor of single cell life makes any sense. It more seems like a protein structure or some amino acids, or we have that whole language of amino acids that form words, and then those words form proteins, and then those form the building blocks of life. And in the same way, we've got little pieces and structures that also form like living machines, which I think of applications as living machines, like Wikipedia being like the most living, structural, strange, interconnected organism.
I think, for me, the single-cell life metaphor works if you think of it as something that lacks sex, because that's something that's being updated by someone, and so there's sort of a single point of information drift rather than it being chopped up by the algorithms. That's where I get that metaphor.
The way that bacteria DNA replicates constantly and therefore is very susceptible to mutation is actually, I don't know if it's exactly analogous, but it's very similar to Freud's sort of meta-psychological idea of how memories form, how they're investments of energy going through word representations. So those can mutate and those can change. As we continue to remember our memories, they change. If DNA pollution, if you will, gets into the cyclical loop, it can change the bacteria to make it almost indistinguishable.
So I think one of the problems that I have with this is it feels like he's positing Yahoo as separate from the people that performed Yahoo or performed Yahoo-ness. And I think it's the combination that are the new entity. Like Wikipedia as a collection of boxes is not conscious. Wikipedia as a community, including that collection of boxes in the community, is a very different entity. And I mean, this was kind of one of the things that I was sort of thinking about talking about was this notion of stochastic network entities like Anonymous as being kind of slime molds is Quinn's metaphor for the slime molds of the internet.
I think those things are different than what Mikey's trying to talk about here. At least as I understand it, it sounds like what he's trying to say is that in the beginning there were humans who were talking and curating and making lists, and then the algorithms came in and have emergent meanings that are being interjected in a particular with Google Translation, so that the human words are now a medium rather than what's actually taking place in terms of talking across languages to each other. That's interesting, and because it can be games, but it's interesting because a machine that doesn't understand it is doing it, and it may bring forth some more interesting emergent things.
The thing though is that the Google's algorithms look for places where humans are actually linking to things.
Yes.
So although it says that it's separate from the idea of like Yahoo where it's a curated list, Google's going out and finding curated lists and finding the ones that the most people link to.
Yeah.
The exceptions are when, like I was searching for something that was in some software I was working on last night, and it linked back to the exact piece of software that I was working on. It's like, oh, I guess this doesn't exist anywhere else. And that's a case of where if it doesn't find a curated thing, it finds whatever's out there. So, it prefers the curated list, but if there isn't one, it'll just find anything. So,
the wonder of it all is how well it works. I mean, I've been using Google Translate since it began, and I use it times per day with many languages because I got email from everybody everywhere. So over time, I've really seen a huge improvement in the intelligibility of the translations, especially in the languages that are very different than English. Although I'm still having a lot of trouble with Indonesian and Japanese.
Do you ask, have you gotten the information about why Indonesian is a very strange thing for Brahm? Have you talked to Brahm?
No, I haven't talked to Brahm about it, although I had him do some translations for me because the machine wouldn't do it. And what he said is that it's very heavily slanged so that the language has drifted from the official language enough that in spelling and meaning and order and terminology that the translator can't keep up with that.
Didn't they start doing audio?
Yeah, I mean, I've got the video camera on for this one, but if some people would prefer just audio rather than video recording, we
Well,
can
also the
do
same, probably.
Yeah, the sound probably works better.
I'm having that same trouble in Mexican Spanish
Yeah.
because for the same reason apparently, because a lot of the Spanish I'm getting written is in text messaging, phonetic language, abbreviated language, spelled wrong language. So I have to say it out loud, spell it correctly for Google Translate in order to get it back. And I suspect that's a similar problem that they're having with the Indonesian real world language.
They need, instead of just Spanish, they need Spanish dialect SMS.
Yeah.
Or like Spanish Mexican SMS or something, you know.
I'm sure they'll figure it out once they get enough of it into the corpus.
I mean, like Brazilian Portuguese is different from Portuguese in Brazil.
What Mikey was saying is that once you get a big enough lump of it, then Google does a pretty good job statistically of sorting it back out for you. And that it may be that there's just not enough Indonesian or SMS.
Yeah, when you need translations from that corpus to the target language.
Well, I don't know, they might be getting more sources now, but they used to, their main source was official UN documents.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that would also indicate that it would be a lot more formal language that they're that's based on.
Predictable structure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know they were really annoyed for a while because their own translations were becoming so prevalent and not marked as being done by Google Translate that it was starting to pollute the corpus. They're having serious problems with the quality of translation going down because they were treating their own algorithm as output as human input.
Reading,
Yeah.
Their algorithms got too much self-esteem.
Well, they spent too long in the echo chamber.
Did they have to mark it?
I don't know exactly what they did to fix that, but this was something I heard them complaining about a while ago.
They could probably tag, make it so that every output of their thing is also recorded.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what
try
they
to
did.
match against that and see if it's the same.
Yeah. Just take a hash and see, hey, if this hash matches, we've recorded this before.
Okay, well, I think Tom is ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to start
Yeah, I'm gonna.
audio.